An interesting and significant decision that was made by the Delhi High Court that has made it clear now more than ever. No blanket ban on smartphones in schools. Before we delve into this a little further, let's take a moment to think of how times are truly changing. Phones in schools was an absolute no till just a few years ago. In fact, children especially brought up in stricter households weren't even given access to phones at home, let alone schools. Therefore, smartphones were a luxury not only because of how much they costed, but of how they were projected as an asset only for adults. Cut to today. We live in an age of artificial intelligence where information cannot be ignored, and smartphones are rather being treated as a potential tool to enhance education. But how safe is the idea? How much can one regulate, and will it harm or will it stimulate? To discuss exactly this, please join me in welcoming my panelists this evening. I have Schweta, Gandhi, child psychologist, parenting coach and NLP master coach, and advocate Anubha S. Sahai, President, India-wide Parents Associations. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me this evening. Schweta, we're definitely, but before I get Schweta back on, Anubha, my question coming to you. Can we continue to ignore the need and use of smartphones anymore? The Delhi High Court taking this decision, but also adding some guidelines with it.
Yeah, thank you for having me on this show. And I am really grateful to Honorable Delhi High Court that at least they have come up with some suggestions and some solution to this problem. Because in today's digital world, it is definitely not possible to keep children away from mobile phone and gadgets. But at the same time, regulation and monitoring is very important, which the Honorable High Court is also mentioning. And they are also focusing on regulating and monitoring the use of mobile phones in school premises. So some schools have started this concept, no doubt, and they are also facing at the same time a lot of challenges. So these guidelines definitely will help the schools also to take some measure as far as the mobile phones are concerned, because they cannot take any action under RTA. It becomes very, very difficult for a school to take any kind of action against any child for bringing mobile phone or for doing any kind of mischief or misbehavior. Some action definitely is allowed. So these guidelines, which the Honorable High Court has directed all the authorities to look into these guidelines, and also in consultation with parents and other stakeholders, the Honorable High Court has directed the authorities to frame guidelines for all the schools. And this will definitely help and support the parents also, because now in today's time, it is really important that the children should start using mobile phone, but at the same time, regulation and monitoring is very important, because many students are also misusing it. So they should be the schools and parents also, not only schools, but at the same time, parents also should educate their children on how to use the mobile phones, and also about the cyberbullying. A lot of things are happening on social media where the students are engaged, and they are quite influenced by the social media these days. There are so many games the students are playing, and they're getting into a lot of other activities also on social media. So definitely regulation and monitoring will help, and at the same time, guidance from school, not only school and teachers, but also parents should guide and support their parents in how to use the mobile phones and how to digitally, how they should not misuse the mobile phone. Because definitely, as far as the WHO guidelines are concerned, WHO has clearly said that the children should be kept away from mobile phones, because the excessive use of mobile phone is because of the excessive use of mobile phones, children are getting depressed, and it is a kind of they are getting into mental depression. Mental health problems are increasing among students, and it's a kind of mental disorder also, which WHO has pointed out. So that also aspect has to be taken into consideration.
Sure. Anubha, I'm also just going to quickly bring in Schweta, because time is of the essence here. Schweta, I think your network is finally up and running, so good to have you back with us. Look, we're definitely living in a digital world here, but do you think that even the formation of these guidelines, because let's look at some of them, right? It says strict or lenient, because so who's to actually say what kind of guidelines will eventually be followed? This could rightly mean misuse, like Anubha rightly said, and also maybe enabling a free hand into the uncharted, unsafe territory of excessive screen time and smartphone use.
Anule.
I think we are going to try and connect with Schweta back in a moment. But Anubha, if I were to ask you the same question, can we continue to ignore the need and the use of smartphones?
See, as I have already said, we cannot ignore the use of mobile phones because now the children are competing with other students in other worlds also. Although one or two countries have completely banned the mobile phone in school. But as far as India is concerned, India is now developing. India is a developing country, and our children also need online classes because of COVID. Now, many children are using the mobile phones and other gadgets. So I don't advise, and I'm not in support of using the mobile phones. But as far as these guidelines, which the Honorable High Court has framed, are concerned, will be really helpful because they have clearly mentioned that the students will have to deposit these mobile phones in the school premises. Because many of the parents who are staying in cities like metro cities like Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Ahmedabad, and Calcutta, and all other metro cities, most of the parents are working. So they are also much worried about the children once they leave school. So they can keep a track on their children, and children can also call them in case of any emergency. So for that purpose, definitely students should be allowed to use mobile phones. They can use normal phones also. As far as smartphones are concerned, definitely regulation and monitoring is must.
Absolutely. Schweta,
And
I
online
think
behavior, digital manners also should be.
Shweta, I think you're back with us now. So if you can hear me, I'm going to
Yes.
repeat my question to you. We're definitely living
Yes.
in a digital world. But do you think that even the formation of these guidelines could mean misuse? It could mean enabling a free hand into the uncharted, unsafe territory of excessive screen time and smartphone use?
So basically, as much as we know the side effects or the effects of technology, excess mobile phones on our children, but let's understand we cannot separate digital world from our children now. There has to be an integration of technology and education coming together, and the guidelines that Honorable Ajit Bambani sir has given, I think they are absolutely within the framework of how schools should do. It should be responsible, where we teach our children digital literacy, where we teach them the harmful effects, we teach them the online digital manners, that how they should be talking, how they should be using. We also speak about spread awareness about the uh, correct and appropriate use of digital technology in our education. While I run a school and I know that how much we need the screen for educational purposes, and that's making learning so effective. So as an educator, I would definitely say that we cannot separate the both, but a great integration of the two, where there is a little bit of policy reviewing by schools, where the guidelines were passed that there has to be safekeeping, the use should be only for educational purpose and not recreational purpose. So all of these guidelines are definitely going to help all of us get clarity on how should we be using or integrating technology in our schools. And we also keep a check by constantly making our students aware of the harmful effects, and we make sure that we are using it in the best possible way for our benefit. But if anything in excess is a disease, so we have to explain them the moderation of technology in our lives.
So if I were to ask you, Shweta, if you could give us some quick actionable tips that you know, so many parents are probably watching, and maybe their children as well, to curb the use of or the excessive use of smartphones and to be able to really understand that balance. Because let's face it, the adults also don't have balance. A lot of us are sitting and binge watching television over the weekend, right? So I'm trying to understand, if you had to give actionable tips or just like 2 or 3 of them, what would you say?
Right, right. So, number one, as you rightly said, we as parents are the role model to our children. The max they learn from us. So, we keep a regulation on our mobile use. Number two, we make sure that our kids, we educate them that what is the correct use of technology, how, where should we draw a line, because understand, now with AI coming in, with technology taking over, trust me, in next year the education is going to change, and it's changing at a speed so rapid that you and I at this point cannot even fathom. We are entering a very unknown territory with the AI coming in, and of course AI is going to enter in the businesses, all the businesses, being with education number one, because that is the root of the entire development of the world.
Absolutely. Shweta and
To take over.
Okay. I think we seem to have lost the connection with Shweta,
Yeah.
but we'll try and bring her back. Shweta and Anubha, thank you so much for sharing your insights on this topic. The Delhi High Court banning this complete ban on smartphones, but instead introducing these guidelines.